tenured professor. I spent decades climbing, years of part-time teaching, pitiful salary and heavy workload, and then assistant professor, associate professor, and then 1 month, tenured professor, and then this happened to me. Now I hope you're all of those who have come from afar are enjoying your stay in Iceland. Well, I actually hope the Icelanders also are enjoying the stay in Iceland. But if not, let me know, and measures will be taken. I am afraid that I cannot be with you here today. And by way of the introduction, it gives me my alibi. I have to, truth be told, that's always the best way out. I have to, and I want to, and I'm looking forward to attending a football tournament with one of my sons. So when we started this tournament, they won the first match, good for them. So, the other team played well as well, and, So I'll be dashing off there, and you will hear actually in my talk, in my prepared talk, where I will also have later today. So here is what I have to say to the good gathering here. So now we begin. Ladies and gentlemen, the film Being There tells the story of a simple gardener named Chance, played by Peter Sellers. By a series of coincidences, Chance finds himself in the limelight, the center of attention. Yes, asserts Chance sincerely, there will be growth in the spring. First comes spring and summer, but then we have fall and winter. And then we get spring and summer again. Yes, the gardener certainly knows what he's talking about. As long as the roots are not severed, all is well, and all will be well in the garden, he goes on. The story of the film is that everything Chance says is meant literally. In his innocence, he points out simple truths about how to cultivate one's garden, while others read different and deeper meanings into his words. All at once, he is perceived as having all answers to complex questions, answers which are deemed to be brilliantly clever. But those who praise him for his wisdom are two-faced. They have no intention of following his good advice about watering their garden and taking care of delicate blooms in the flora of life. This charming tale fixed itself in my memory as soon as I first saw the film. And let's not go into the details here, but he was in the movie, he became a serious candidate for presidency in his home country. That's not part of what I want to tell you. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to address this excellent gathering. That would hardly have happened had I not been elected president. And in order for that to happen, a series of events, coincidences even, were required. But here I am to open your discussions on the ethical questions of our time. The emphasis is on the perils of climate change, the problems facing refugees, economic injustice in the world, and finally, democracy. These are all urgent issues, and I hope that those attending the conference will, at the end of the day, be filled with hope. But that hope must be based on rational argument and realism, and not on blind faith, not a hope that is grounded in deceptions by oneself or others. I want to say a few more words about hope and faith, society and religion. For here I am to discuss ethical challenges, and here I am invited by the ethical humanists who place emphasis on ethical values and a search for enlightenment without reference to supernatural phenomena. In addition, it should be pointed out that our hosts, your hosts, my hosts, the ethical humanists of Iceland, favor the separation of church and state, They are against the custom that members of parliament are meant to attend church service at the cathedral next door when their assembly convenes in the fall. And they are even more opposed to the article in the Constitution which affirms that the evangelical Lutheran Church shall be the state church of Iceland, the established church, which the government is committed to support and protect. That same constitution protects and ensures religious freedom. Here in Iceland, the people should be able to practice their religion, or no religion. Equality, diversity, and freedom are safeguarded by our fundamental laws. Everyone shall be equal before the law, states the Constitution, and enjoy human rights irrespective of sex, religion, opinion, national origin, race, color, property, birth, or other status. These rights are guaranteed to citizens of Iceland, despite the constitutional provisions for a state church and government support. It is not surprising that this arrangement has attracted attention. And in fact, it is only right that people should debate the advantages or disadvantages of this state of affairs. In that light, informed and open-minded debate is all to the good. That seems to be as much truth as Chance's musings in being there. And I don't feel that I'm sharing any profound insights here. It is simply obvious, just as that summer follows the spring. So, dear guests, the website of this conference refers to a video about the beauty of Iceland and the splendid people who live here, smiling and happy with all their freedom and diversity. And there we also see that in Iceland the weather is always good. The video, inspired by Iceland, commences at Þingvellir, the beating heart of our history and culture, hallowed ground for the Icelandic nation, site of memory, as the scholars call it. At Þingvellir, a little over 1,000 years ago, faith was hotly debated. The chieftains who attended Alþingi, the National Assembly at Þingvellir, formed broadly two factions. On one hand, the heathens, who wished to continue to worship the Old Norse gods, Odin and Thor, Freyja and Frigg, and all the rest of the pantheon. On the other, the followers of the new religion, of the white Christ and Christianity, which was rapidly spreading throughout Europe. The religious standoff grew heated and came close to sparking armed conflict all over the country. The story goes that a volcano erupted near Þingvellir at the time, and a lava flow threatened the home of one of the Christian chieftains. The heathens took this as a sign that their gods were angry. But one of those who had already been baptized conclusively rebutted such ideas. A person of the Enlightenment before his time, we can say. To the armed men standing at Þingvellir on age-old lava fields, he spoke these wise words. All right, so what angered the gods when the lava flowed on which we now stand? We in Iceland still learn this at school, or I did at least. And we also learned about the solution which the National Assembly accepted in preference to bloodshed at Þingvellir. And it now seems advisable to me, said the law speaker, that we should not allow those to prevail who most wish to oppose each other. Let us compromise between them, so that each side has its own way in something, and let us all have the same laws and the same religion. It is so that if we sunder the law, we shall also sunder the peace. And slowly but surely, all traces of heathenism were eliminated from public life. It does not even survive the names of days in Icelandic, unlike English, with its Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. referencing Tyr, Odin, Thor, and Freyr. You know, today is the day of Tyr. It's just thriðji dagur in Icelandic, the third day. How pathetic is that? Now, the 20th century, however, saw a reawakening, and the Ásatrú Fellowship was founded, in which more than 4,000 people find a suitable place for their philosophy, at peace with God and folk, as we say in Icelandic. Christian denominations are also many and various, unlike the situation in past centuries, before and after the Reformation. And about 1,000 people are registered as members of Muslim groups, a few more as Buddhists, and so on. Yes, values and laws have changed since the year 999 or 1000, when Christianity was officially adopted as the Icelandic religion. We must accept, this is the historian and academic in me. I know politicians and statespersons hate, doubt about perfect dates. We want to have the settlement of Iceland starting in 874 and the adoption of Christianity in the year 1000. 1000 rings better than 999. But we academics, we love our doubts. We love, making a simple issue complex. So we must accept that the sources do not indicate beyond doubt the year of the momentous event. And this was first pointed out by the archaeologist Ólafía Einarsdóttir. So, but equally important, if not more, today the principle is that we shall have the same laws for all, certainly, but many faiths. And the lesson of this story is also that the religion of one or of many cannot be the premise of legislation that is to apply to all. Faith does not transcend the law of the land. And we must continue to live together in a country where the rule of law applies, a state based on a secular foundation. So, ladies and gentlemen, have simple answers been given here to simple basic principles? Is all our life so simple, so obvious as that summer follows springs and that plants die if uprooted? The website of this conference, I already mentioned, it includes a picture which refers to the Inspired by Iceland video. It is a photo taken from the tower of the largest church in Iceland. That's good for the Humanist Association. And in the video itself, you can also see at least 3 churches. I did not count, I did not put my academic clothes on, but I'm sure at least 3 churches in that beautiful video of the happy Icelanders running around in eternal sunshine. The Christian churches I can see from my residence at Bessastaðir number at least 10. Our past and our present, our culture and existence are bound up with the Christian religion. The history of Christianity in Iceland is, yes, sometimes a tale of cruelty and power, but it is also a story of artistic and literary achievements, a story of compassion and kindness. In Iceland's churches, the gospel of tolerance and broad-mindedness can be heard. Within Iceland's religious groups, allies are to be found in the battle that must be fought on the ethical questions of our time, those questions which are to be discussed here today. Finally, let me mention another film of which I have sometimes thought since I have been in office. Zelig, one of Woody Allen's best films, tells of Leonard Zelig, who is so desperate to please everyone that he not only agrees with everyone he meets, but actually takes on their appearance. He never says anything that could offend anyone at that moment. So, Zelig would certainly be cautious in some circles about citing Woody Allen in view of all the allegations that have been made against him. On the other hand, Zelig would have no problem fitting in here today. So, dear guests, at this conference held by CIRMET, the Icelandic Ethical Humanist Association. Later today, I will have the pleasure of opening an exhibition about the history of the Carmelite convent in Hafnarfjörður, where I shall recall their prayer and selfless work for the least fortunate in society, and even the need of so many in an enlightened and free society for a faith, conviction, or hope about some kind of life after this one, about being reunited with lost loved ones, and rejecting the idea that we just live and die like any plant in a garden. And tomorrow is Siemens Day, when I shall visit the Fossvogur churchyard, where we commemorate those who have gone to a watery grave over the centuries. Following that ceremony, a mass will be held in Reykjavik Cathedral to mark Siemens Day. At such events, it is fitting to recall the oldest known Siemens prayer in Icelandic, which dates from pre-Reformation time under the Catholic Church, the church to which I once belonged. It was the rod and staff of those who risked their lives on the stormy deep. And it starts like this: God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, see and bless all persons, young and old, cargo and boards. And it is also the teasing part of me who wanted to say God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost at this point. I wish you all the best at this conference on ethical questions of our time and that of future generations. Great challenges lie in store for us, but that is not news. Nor is it news that without hope and purpose, freedom and kindness, the future will be dark and of no benefit to anyone. Thank you very much. Changed since then, although people in my position often change their minds. I have to leave, but I wonder, are there any questions? One or two questions, and I'm happy to reply or give an evocative non-answer. But you have to keep on schedule.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, I beg to differ. I think we would have gotten you to speak in your academic clothes in this conference on the topic of democracy.
And you say that now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, best of luck. Best of luck, and enjoy your stay. Always welcome back. And if there's anything I can do for you, yes.
Hello, and it's an honor to have you here. My name is Eva Quiñones from Puerto Rico. I'm a humanist. Are there any plans in Iceland to change the constitution so it does not affiliate the country to one particular faith?
Plan might not be the right word, but debates there are. In a referendum on a proposed new constitution in 2012, the people of Iceland were asked about certain sections of that draft constitution and the draft constitution as a whole, and the outcome there was somewhat surprisingly that the majority of voters, of the majority of those who took part, were in favor of maintaining a state church. But that is not necessarily the final answer for all future debates in this regard. There might be other people in the audience who can recall polls on this, whether the majority of Icelanders or not are willing to see a change here. I just must admit that I don't have it at the top of my head. We might also look to the state of affairs in other Nordic countries. We like to compare ourselves often to our fellow Nordic countries where there are different scenarios. Yes, I think I can safely say that, for instance, in Sweden, the separation between church and state has been finalized. Am I not right in saying that? Yes. While in Denmark, the state of affairs is similar to ours. So it is an ongoing debate with the Icelanders. Well, you never generalize about people, but Icelanders are not known for their frequent attendance at churches. However, there is always the link. When you lose a loved one, when you want to say goodbye to a person you knew well, you sense the importance of an institution, of an established institution. That's what I would like to add there.
For now.
For me, yes.
Thank you, Vanessa. My name is Kato Mukasa. I come from Uganda, Africa. You talked about being an ex-Catholic.
Yes.
When did you lose your faith? At what age did you lose it? Then two, what's your view of having religious education in schools? Religious education in schools?
Yes.
Is there a chance of having secular education, like humanism, critical thinking in schools in Iceland?
Again, I am not the expert on the latter half of your question, but as a father of 5, 4 who have already attended school, I am trying to recall now that they have not what used to be called in my time Kristinfræði or Christianity studies. They have, what is it called in Icelandic now? Trúarbragð, yeah, religious studies. So, my boys who are in school now have learned about Islam, Buddhism, the old heathen faith here in Iceland, but at the same time they have religious plays before Christmas, and I must say that I am okay with that. And out of my 5 children, at least 2 or 3 always want to have their father's prayers told in the evenings. They think it's a nice way to say goodnight, and I am very happy with that. As for me leaving the Catholic Church, it was a decision based on the fact that the Catholic Church here in Iceland was slow and pathetic in replying and responding to proven allegations of criminal conduct within the church, and I felt that I would not want to be in that club. Whether that had an impact on my faith per se is another matter, but I could never believe though, when I was a kid, when I went to the Catholic cathedral here in Reykjavik with my grandma, and the priest turned the wine into the blood of Christ. Just couldn't feel it. And, but don't I have any faith still? That's another question. And I think it's a personal matter. We're running behind.
Yeah.
All the best.
Yeah.
Enjoy the conference.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, me and Gvüdni are the only presidents in the house. Andrew Hobson is the president of Humanist International, and he is going to address us now.